The night was still, the kind of quiet that makes every sound echo. Streetlights flickered over cracked sidewalks, and at the corner of Elm and Jackson sat a lone figure, bundled in a torn coat, hood pulled low, hands wrapped around a dented thermos. To anyone passing, he looked like just another homeless man forgotten by the city. But looks deceive. Because this man, this weary, silent soul, was no ordinary wanderer. His name was Charles King, and behind those tired eyes lay decades of service, discipline, and authority. He was the newly appointed chief of police of the very department sworn to protect these streets. But tonight, he wasn't in uniform. Tonight, he had come as an observer, to see his city through the eyes of the unseen. Charles wanted to understand what the people endured when no cameras were watching, when badges turned into weapons instead of shields. He took a slow sip of his thermos, watching the faint glow of passing cars. That's when two patrol cruisers slowed beside him, lights flashing red and blue, no emergency, just intimidation. Two officers stepped out, young and arrogant, the kind of men who mistook power for purpose. One sneered, "Look at this guy. Probably high. Hey, old man, you can't sit here." Charles said nothing. His silence, dignified, calm, only angered them more. The second officer shoved his shoulder. "Don't ignore me, boy. Get up." The word boy cut deep. Charles had heard it before, in darker times, from smaller men. Still, he stayed seated, unflinching. Around them, a few pedestrians stopped, phones raised, uneasy whispers rippling through the night. "They always do this," someone muttered. He didn't do nothing. But no one stepped forward. The officers circled him, sneering. "You smell that? He reeks. Probably drunk." Then, without warning, one yanked Charles up by his collar while the other slammed a fist into his ribs. Charles staggered but didn't strike back. Every blow wasn't pain, it was revelation. The men he trusted to wear his badge had become bullies in uniform. The beating continued, fists, kicks, curses. Cameras caught every second. "Stop. He's not fighting back," someone yelled. But authority had turned blind. When one officer shoved him face first into the pavement, he hissed, "You're lucky we don't run you in, old man." That's when Charles's voice finally broke the night, calm, commanding, filled with quiet fury. "Do you even know who I am?" The officers laughed. "You're a nobody," one spat. Charles met their eyes and slowly reached into his coat. The crowd held its breath as he pulled out a worn leather badge case. The streetlight caught it just right, the golden emblem glimmered, Chief of Police, City of Franklin. Gasps erupted. "That's the chief," someone shouted. The officers froze. Their faces drained of color. One stammered, this can't be real." But Charles's voice cut like steel. "Real enough. You just assaulted your commanding officer. You disgraced this badge and everything it stands for." The weight of his words crushed them. Phones kept rolling, truth immortalized. The officers dropped to their knees, trembling. "Chief, we didn't know, please." Charles rose, brushing dirt from his coat, his ribs throbbing but his spirit unbroken. "And what if I was homeless?" he asked, his tone sharp. "Would that give you the right to beat me? To treat me less than human?" The crowd cheered. "Tell them, Chief," someone shouted. Sirens wailed in the distance, backup arriving. Officers spilled out, confused at the sight before them, their chief, bruised and standing tall, while two of their own knelt in disgrace. "Sir," one veteran said, saluting, "your orders." Charles inhaled deeply. "Arrest them both." The crowd erupted in applause as cuffs clicked shut. Justice, raw and poetic. But as Charles turned to leave, his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number glowed cold against the night. "You embarrassed the wrong people tonight, Chief. Now you'll pay the price." Charles looked up, scanning the street. In the distance, a black sedan idled, headlights off, engine humming, watching. The next morning, the city of Franklin woke up to chaos. Every major network, every local feed, every phone screen lit up with the same video, the police chief, beaten and bloodied by his own men, standing tall as he ordered their arrest. It went viral in hours. The world called him a hero, a reformer, a symbol of justice. But behind those headlines, in the quiet corners of power, something darker stirred. Because Charles King hadn't just embarrassed two bad cops, he had exposed a system. And systems don't go down without a fight. That black sedan from the night before wasn't just a coincidence. For 2 days, it followed him, through city streets, past the precinct, even outside his modest home on the edge of town. Charles knew the game. He'd played it for years. Corruption ran deep in Franklin PD, officers on the take, dirty contracts, quiet cover-ups. He had planned to clean house. But now, the house was fighting back. That evening, the mayor called a private meeting. The air inside City Hall felt heavy. Mayor Reynolds, slick and smiling, tried to mask the tension. "Charles," he said, "you've made quite the name for yourself. The city's divided. Maybe it's time we handle this quietly. Drop the charges, keep things smooth." Charles leaned forward, his jaw tight. "Smooth for who? The people or your donors?" The mayor's smile cracked. "You're walking a dangerous line, Chief. There are people who don't like attention." Charles stood, eyes unwavering. "Then tell them to stop giving me reasons to shine a light." He turned and left without another word. That night, the danger came knocking. Literally. A loud crash, glass shattering. His living room window exploded inward. Charles ducked, years of training kicking in. 2 masked men stormed in, one with a pipe, the other holding a gun. "You should have stayed quiet, old man," one growled. Charles moved fast, grabbing the edge of a broken lamp, striking the man with the gun across the face. The weapon clattered to the floor. A struggle erupted, fists, grunts, chaos. The second intruder swung the pipe, grazing Charles's shoulder. Pain shot down his arm, but he didn't stop. He fought like a man who had nothing left to lose, and everything left to protect. Then, sirens. Red and blue lights flooded the street. The attackers bolted through the back door, vanishing into the night. Officers stormed in, guns raised. Charles sat against the wall, bruised but alive. "They tried to silence me," he said, his voice steady. "But the truth doesn't scare easy." By morning, the attack was headline news. Reporters surrounded the precinct. Citizens flooded the streets, holding signs that read, "Justice for all," and "No more corruption." And for the first time in years, the people's voices were louder than the lies. Charles held a press conference outside the station, bandaged, battered, but unbroken. Cameras flashed as he spoke. "Last night, someone tried to take my life to protect their secrets. That tells me one thing: change is already happening. They fear accountability more than anything. But I'm not backing down. We rebuild this department with integrity, or we tear it apart and start over." Applause erupted, raw, thunderous, defiant. His officers, those who still believed in honor, stepped forward, removing their caps in silent respect. The 2 who beat him had already confessed, naming names higher up the chain. Warrants were signed. Arrests began before sundown. The rot was being ripped from the roots. That evening, as the sun dipped low, Charles sat alone on the same corner of Elm and Jackson, the place where it all began. The air was quiet again. But this time, it wasn't hopeless. It was healing. A small boy walked up, holding his mother's hand. "Are you the man who stopped the bad cops?" the boy asked softly. Charles smiled faintly. "No, son. I'm just the man who reminded them what the badge should mean." The mother smiled through tears. Thank you, she whispered. Charles watched them walk away, peace settling over him. But as he stood to leave, his phone buzzed again. One message. No name. Just 5 chilling words glowing on the screen. This isn't over, Chief King. He looked up slowly, and there it was again. The same black sedan, parked beneath the streetlight, engine humming, windows tinted black. Only this time, he wasn't afraid. He reached into his coat, flipped open his badge, and whispered. Then neither am I.